and then I was in Kenya, I think 2018, and I'm seeing like Somali restaurants in Nairobi that is really packed with the locals. Somalis obviously go out and eat a lot. Foreigners like Europeans, the diaspora in Kenya, just eating Somali food and Bris and Hilip, and enjoying it. It's like, and I was like, what, we can do something.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to a new episode of the Somali Circle podcast. Today I'm joined by Liban, one of the co-founders of Sabiib. We're recording this podcast in one of his shops, Allahumma barik. Thank you, Adair, for hosting us, first of all, and taking the time for this podcast.
My pleasure.
During this podcast, we want to delve into Sabiib, the origin story of Sabiib, how you've grown as an entrepreneur, the beginning of your career, and inshallah, what you planned for the future, inshallah. Let's start from the beginning.
Yes.
Liban, you was born in Mogadishu, and then you came to...
Yeah. My name's Liban Tahlil Mahmoud. So I was born in Mogadishu in the late 70s. Went to school in Mogadishu. And obviously the war started when I was, I think, 12 or 13. Didn't even get to secondary school. And that's when life changed. Alhamdulillah, we're here, and you cannot say for the worst, but obviously the systems and everything that we had changed, and it was fun at the beginning, no school, and then it dawned on me that after 2 years, what are we doing? This is not changing, So, so I've had some time in Nairobi. Maybe I was trying to help a sister who had a little business, but she said maybe it's better for you to go, and then it didn't work out. Then I went back to Mogadishu around the Black Hawk Down time. I don't want to use that phrase, but 93 when the Americans came. And then I decided that it was not for me to stay, because I could see the country just basically disintegrating, and just, things not looking up politically, so there was not enough opportunities. So I convinced my dad, Allah khair, that if I could go, because he didn't want me to go. So with his blessing, I left 95. And alhamdulillah, I came here after 6 months.
Yeah. Was on your own?
I was by myself. I had nobody. Yeah, alhamdulillah, I had made some connections. The usual Somali journey of coming to the UK and seeking asylum and that sort of story. So alhamdulillah, it worked out for me. And I think I came to London 95 September, and then I stayed. It's quite, actually, it was obviously, as an 18-year-old, it's fun. So I stayed with a family, a relative, for a few days, for about 3 weeks, and then I found myself living in a homeless hostel, because that's the only way that Somalis and the new immigrants and were getting some sort of accommodation in Elscourt. So I stayed there for 3 years, and then got used to the country, and alhamdulillah, that's where my journey started. Maybe we can delve in later.
No, sure. And then you came here, and then you started working.
And I came here, so first year I didn't know what I wanted to do. You get advice. There's no careers advice back home, as you know, and people advising you. And my older brother left, and I didn't have that sort of mentor. My dad was educationalist, but there was a gap. He used to be a head teacher and became a district sort of head of education in some parts of Somalia. So we came from a family who like education and things like that. But obviously, wars changed, so I didn't know what to do. So someone said to me, in Nairobi, I think, or Mombasa, get a science degree, something like that. When you get there, science is good. So I enrolled into a course to study science. And then I did that for 3 years, where I did actually well. Got a place at a good university, Imperial College, but didn't go with it. I was trying to take a year out to go back home and see mum and dad. Later, my mum passed away now. But yeah, I just wanted to see, and then it didn't work out, and I found a job. I've always worked in retail from late 96 to still now. I just work with people. So yeah, that time was the beginning of that journey of retail. And yeah, so I was studying, and while I was working, And then I got an opportunity to work in the phone business late 99 when I was still new to the country. And then...
Yeah, so that's the interesting thing. We're trying to share your story. We're not directly starting with Sabiib and how you build that, but the lessons are also in this story, like moving by yourself as an 18 years old man to a foreign country that you don't know anyone and that you have to build up yourself again. So that's also already entrepreneurial. Spirit was already there. So what was the first thing that changed it up for you a bit? What was the first spark for you to go to this road of building Sabiib, one of the best Somali restaurants in the world?
Yeah, thank you. It's been a journey. So the way it started for me, I think I was working for Tesco at the time while I was studying. They were training me to become like a duty manager, I think late 99. I was quite easygoing with people. I was always liked, alhamdulillah. My personality always used to come across as that likable person. So it does serve you well if you've got that personality, sell it. So I got that, and then late 99, I think I was just looking for halal business to work because obviously Tesco sells haram things, And I spoke to some sheikhs and they said maybe work until you find something that's halal. And then the story came where there was actually a young guy that was working with me. I think it was Pakistan. He said my thing he said fiancé or whatever was working in a phone shop and she gets good commission. So I heard that and I was like, okay. I didn't know that sector, but I was looking at electronics maybe because it's halal. So then that's how I got. I saw a job advert while I was walking by and in our school, and I applied. And luckily for me, the area manager was there, helping the crowd because it's quite a busy store. And I said, he thought I was a customer. I said, I'm looking actually for the job. And he said, you got a minute? And sat down. So that's where my phone journey started. So I got that job. I wasn't good at it at the beginning. Got trained, alhamdulillah. I like dealing with people, so I got good skills out of the training and my own personality. And then I became a manager in 6 months in that store.
Mashallah.
In the year 2000, when I was 22 or 23, I think. And then alhamdulillah, that journey of the phone business, for working in it was fun. Early mobile phones, the Nokia 3310 time. Probably before you were born. It's 24 years ago now, I think. It's early. So maybe you were one.
It was one.
It was one. Yeah. So I became a manager in that store, and then I think that company sort of went out of business late 2001, and then again. Being good. So one of my old colleagues got a job in another company called Chitta Chatta at the time. I don't know if they're still in business, but they're a big part of my life. So I got a job in 2001 in that unit, in that company, and then that gave me an opportunity to become one of their best managers by going up the assistant manager, because I was a manager before. They had few stores, but they were quite busy, so they gave me an opportunity to become a manager quickly. And then I found myself, I actually enjoy this. I didn't want to go back to university to study science. I was like, maybe I can do a business degree later on, blah, blah. And then, Qadar, I got married to my beautiful wife now. Again, it just happened. Parents' blessing, it just happened. The introduction came from there. So I became a family man, so I had to work. So I didn't want to really take time out, and I was making good money in the phone business because it's commission time at the time. You sell a phone, you get a commission on top of your wages, and I was enjoying that. And I thought, this is actually me.
Yeah.
And maybe later on save enough money to open a business.
Yeah. But the idea was there always to open your own business.
Yeah. The idea was to always open a business. Funnily enough, actually, when I was younger. My dad didn't want me to go. I came back from Kenya. If I could take you back to 94, I was 17. He said to me, please, stay with me. My older son's gone. My dad was a little bit anti moving to the West for our protection. He didn't want his children to assimilate and have that Western point of view. still tells us to come back and live back home. Still alive, is in the show. So yeah, so I decided to I did a small business doing actually cross-border trade between Mogadishu and the border towns of Ethiopia, like selling sugar and things like that. So that was my first, although my dad did not come from a business background, that gave me that sort of initial, I think I always wanted to, I liked business and people, so I wanted to also become a journalist when I was younger, things like that, but business was the one that I thought. So yeah, the plan of having a business, I think I realized if I wanted to get what successful people in this country had, you have to make that journey. Education is good, it's not for everyone, but I thought, for a newcomer, I think to jump quickly, I think entrepreneurship is really key.
Yeah.
And learning a skill, and then learn something, and then just make it your own business if it's successful.
Yeah. So you see a lot of the youths now is talking about like burning your ships. So stopping with school completely or with work, and just easily dive into entrepreneurship, which 8 out of 10 times is not the best road. You took the a more long-term road of like building a skill first, and then like with that skill
saving money as well,
and saving money, and with that money and skill you learned, that gives you more success or better chance to become successful. So that's, I think, one of the things we can take, one of the golden nuggets we can take away of the story of like, try also to think more long term. Don't think about like becoming a millionaire in one year and stuff like that, because most of the time with fast money comes haram.
I mean, exactly. We still, I've had businesses now since early 2009 now, and alhamdulillah, it's just at the moment for me it's actually work. I'm working for myself. I've got that freedom to do what I want. If I want to go and see my dad, I can go quickly see him. My dad is, as long as I have the right team and supportive partners in my business. So yeah, it's just that. Yeah, for me, I see work. You'll see me cleaning tables because I enjoy it. I don't, for me it's just work at the moment, and I think it should be work. Yeah, I mean, if you become too big and business becomes big, obviously, and you want to change people's lives and promote a brand and take it to a different level. Jeff Bezos he might still go to his warehouses, but he was doing the shipping when he started, and that's what you need to do at the beginning. If you need to grow, you grow, but you still give back and work and just enjoy the environment that you started. If you enjoy it still.
Yeah. If you enjoy it, it will grow easy.
Very easy, yeah.
If I can take it back to you becoming a manager on a very young age.
Yeah.
And then you decided to pivot to the next.
With little English, actually, I was quite new. In Somali, it's not an English-speaking country, so I picked some English from my older brother who was at uni and listened to the BBC World Service, and I came, and alhamdulillah, it's easy for me to learn things, languages, and so yeah, so it was easy. It was not. It's just, I think it was just the personality. If you smile enough, people buy into you, and if that's your personality, Allah gives is giving you, use it, and that's what's giving, and hard work as well, and being dynamic, and like if you see someone who's really good at their job, just copy, just see what they're doing right. That's what I think. I'm a good imitator. If I see that you're doing really well with something, I'll try to pick up good habits from you. And that's what helped me, because I looked at people that were really doing good, how they handled themselves, how they sold, how they managed people.
Yeah, success leaves cues.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what helped me to become a manager, I think, and giving it all. To be honest, I think some people don't get the idea of if you work for someone, you just take the paycheck and go home. If you work for someone, actually it's a journey. So you get to know people, you make good your friends, your colleagues become friends. Colleague is my business partner, Saha, that we're best friend, and business plans for the last 15, 16 years. You know, he's not Somali, he's Turkish. So you meet people and then you grow, and then those people make you who you are. So if you're working for someone, you learn in a trade or whatever, that could be something. Something can come out. Don't just think about it. So invest in that business and work like it's your own business, because you're actually building your own brand. You're building yourself. Yeah, so don't be hassid, you know, that where you think I'm not getting paid. I used to be the first in, last out. Sometimes I'm not getting paid. I'm not stupid, but I was actually, I was enjoying myself and I was doing it. And it gave me things in return. Recognition, you know, is important to me. Rewards are important to me, like, you know, getting paid monetarily, you know, commission, being recognized, you know, that sort of thing. And it comes from actually giving. You have to make that, you know.
Yeah, it's this Somali way of like communal giving without expecting something back. It's like the
exactly. It's like helping the relatives that you might not get anything back from. Yeah, and if you think like that in whatever you do, you know, that person that's observing you might think, hey, this person is actually very good. He might become my business partner. You know, like whatever. But you have to create the opportunity.
I really like that, because the youth can see like your way of thinking, and people see on the outside, they see like, oh, Sabiib, within 1 year, one of the biggest restaurants, Somali restaurants in the world, definitely in the UK. So it looks almost easy to copy, but they don't see like the roots, how hard they have to, or how deep they had to go to build something like this within a year. Going back into leading the idea that was leading to Sabiib. Can you take us there?
Yeah.
What was the spark?
The idea of Sabiib came from, so with me and Saha got a food business. Yeah. So we've got a brand. We started a brand called Habaneros. Before that, our journey was, you know, the job that I had in 2001 later led into me opening my first business. So I think we missed that bit to this. Yeah. So to 2000. So I started in the phone. I got a job in another company, and then that was called Chitta Chatta. And then I became a manager, did well, and then got an opportunity from that company to open my own T-Mobile Chitta Chatta, but T-Mobile didn't have their own shops on the high street, so this company used to represent them on the high street. So this is before BlackBerries, iPhones, you know, phones were quite new. So I got an opportunity to open a business because I wanted to open a food business, and the company heard that I was planning to leave, and it led into a discussion of why don't we. I said, if you give me an opportunity to open a mobile franchise, I will stay, because that's what I know and I enjoy it, rather than going to unknown, which I have to start from scratch. So I could see they were making a lot of money. They trusted me with knowing a little bit of their financials. Again, that's selling yourself for you to get the information. So we did a basic business plan on what we will make from one contract, and, you know, did the wages in my head and business, wrote a few small business plan, and then it worked out. These guys are making a lot of money from one store. Although I managed the biggest store that they had, that was selling a lot of contracts, and the contract you get upfront commission. The customer, the phone that you're giving to the customer is already deducted from that. You get a net commission, let's say 130 or whatever, £150, depends on the deals, yeah. So it was good, it was very lucrative. So I realized, actually, if we can get something like that would be good. But the idea again came from one of my colleagues hearing that I wanted to leave, and he said, and it didn't work out to open the food business. He said, why don't you look into the phone? I said, I didn't know. So I looked at the magazine, it was a trade magazine. And then, here you go, there's a company saying we franchise. So I did a proper business plan at the back of that company by contacting them. And then when I went back to the company I was working for, I said, can you give me a franchise? And that's my business journey. That's how it started.
But that was the beginning of you showcasing your skill set.
Yeah.
And giving what you just explained by from working harder than you being asked, that outshined your colleagues, and that led you to open your own franchise.
That's it, yeah. And the company also saying, you know, don't leave. As you know, let's work together. Yeah, let's work together. Yeah, why don't you open? Why don't you? So the idea of franchising for them was in there. It was something that they were planning. So I forced the franchise. Yeah.
And that,
And that was my first business in Fulham, 2009. And then,
but pivoting from that, because selling phones is one business side of things, but then pivoting from selling phones to opening a food store,
a burger restaurant.
a burger restaurant, is like two different sectors.
Yeah.
What led you to do that?
So the idea, basically, we wanted to initially open food business. So food was obviously, food is what you see on the street, yeah? So you see high street, there's food, coffee shops, food. So you think it's an easy business to get into because you're just selling a product. We were going to get a franchise from a chicken franchise company. So we obviously at that time I had experience, but I didn't want the little money that we saved on Ayuto. I didn't want that to go to waste. So so me and a few friends got together, and then we saved enough money, and it didn't work out. So what we decided to is leave that because we couldn't. Location is very important. We couldn't get a good location. So the food came idea later on when we opened the first phone shop, and then me and Seha opened the second mobile phone store because we met in a phone shop. So he went in to do public sector work. So opportunity came where he used to come and help me, and I said, let's go and do something and open another phone shop together, man. There's good business, making money. I wanted to grow as a business and do multiple stores because the money was good, and it was something the community needed because I could speak Somali, speak English. I was selling it to everyone, and then the Somali community found out there's this actually good shop that's got good deals. So Somali support a lot. Yeah. So so then when the phone business started to go down a bit, because it got saturated, networks wanted to do their own deals online. Online market came heavy where deals were better online. So we saw an exit, and we said, it's not for us. So while we had that, we worked together on a burger brand called Habaneros that did really well. We've had it for 10 years now. One of the units still running. We had 2 units. Yeah, we had about nearly 40, 50 staff. But in the burger boom, it's really good business, but a lot of overheads, and we wanted to franchise, but I don't think we had the right moment. So that food experience, retail, I don't think is a big jump actually. If you've got people skills, you're dealing with people. So it's easy transition, and food is actually easier.
Did you always had like passion for food?
No, I don't know, to be honest. We've never had a food business in our family. We had electronic business that my cousins used to own. So food, I don't know, to be honest. I think it was just, what can I do? And I would say we are foodies as well. So we know food, and opportunity was, what can you actually scale and make money out of and work for yourself? That was the idea. It was the easiest thing for a young immigrant coming to the UK who wants to dream. If I had a tech friend who wanted to start a business, maybe I would be in that position, but I didn't have those opportunities. So for me, it was like,
And it's something that people need every day.
Yeah, something people need every day. I've learned to cook from a young age because obviously I was by myself. I like cooking. I like trying new things, and I'm a quick learner. So if eat burgers, we didn't even work in a burger restaurant. We obviously hired some people, but I used to, sometimes on a Saturday, if a chef phones in sick or staff, there was a lot of European staff at the time, Italians and Spanish, and they were youngsters that you train, but sometimes they don't really care. They'll just go back. Two friends might come one time together, and they're on shift and they decide to leave just because they want to go back to Italy. They might not tell you. So you work and start cooking. So sometimes we used to cook like 300 burgers a day, us just sweating, but it's fun, it's your business. You need to learn what you do, and the food business, Somali restaurant, is another idea that came from, actually, burgers are good, but that's not unique. I've got this open space that nobody's doing something with it, and I've got all this experience in retail and food. We can tell a story and give people a good dining experience. That's how it came about.
But what was the spark to start Sabiib?
The spark was obviously a few journeys. So I remember a long time ago, I was in Malaysia, 2013. I saw a line of queue of Somali There was in the University of Malaysia, I think, Jummah after prayers. They do international, different countries' foods in their canteen. It's an international university in Kuala Lumpur. The Somali queue was the longest. Obviously, I used to take. My wife makes really delicious sambusas, which we use the recipe even for here. That's really nice. And then I used to take it to my colleagues at work, and it's like they could never get enough. Or sometimes she'll make me baris and suqaar, and I'll bring more to share it with my colleagues. It's like it used to be the highlight of me bringing that food. So I knew Somali food was good, but I didn't know. There was no reviews where you could check before in the in early 2000s of this restaurant and what people saying that are not Somalis. So the only exposure to Somali food was through the school, where mums bring some, if there's a charity event in the UK, whatever, they'll make some sambusas or some mandazis and burri. So I saw that reaction, and then I was in Kenya, I think, 2018, and I'm seeing like Somali restaurants in Nairobi that is really packed with the locals. Somalis obviously go out and eat a lot. It's in our culture to go out to have a dining experience, even for tea, coffee. We spend this outside the house. So, and then I saw a lot of Kenyans, a lot of foreigners like Europeans, the diaspora in Kenya, just eating Somali food and baris and hilip, and enjoying it. It's like, and I was like, we can do something. That journey of habaneros was there. We had 2 restaurants, but something told me, the returns are not that big in the food business. It will sustain, and you have to do big numbers and do a lot of, sell a lot of quantity. And the Somali market is quite, there's a lot of us in the UK now. Our disposable income is better. So I was like, if we can do something, that would be great. And then while we were planning to do that, another idea came of actually, how can we do that? And then you need to be inspired. So you can be inspired by any successful brand that you see. And then we had a dinner, I think, there's a restaurant called Dishum, there's an Indian restaurant in London. I think they started 2011. And then there was, we had a dinner at, I think, King's Cross branch. And the food, the Indian food, I'm used to Indian food, but the food was not like, wow. But the food was good enough. But the atmosphere, the Indian music playing, they've got some, the experience, they've got that old photos of like, similar, we have a lot of culture, close culture to India, I don't know if you've seen those old Somali photos where people go to the photo shops where there's flowers and things like that behind. Have you seen? Yeah? Those retro old photos. So those sort of photos were on the walls and hand washed with an old tap. Those sort of things. Like back home, it actually took me back to think this is like similar to, Somali. We are similar culturally-wise because of we share that trade route. But it was just like, I actually want to tell a Somali story similar to this. So that was an inspirational moment. And so we said, it was one of my favorite restaurants. So there's a lot of a study they've done and consultants that they've used, and a lot of food has been talked about, and they go to India. So because I liked food and I could cook, actually, so I can cook Somali food, not to, like restaurant level, although I've learned more now. And I could, I know flavors and things like that. So the idea was like, actually, we have to now do a Somali restaurant that's actually accessible to everyone. That, your generation can come and bring their Adam friends and non-Muslim friends and that are not Somali, and then introduce your food to. And now we get that, people coming in. What we wrote on the business plan of like young professionals, young Somalis who grew up, born in the UK or Europe, that grew up here, got good jobs. Some of them live with mum. They've got a lot of disposable income because, you might have 3-4 graduates that still haven't married but still at home. And then they spend money on going out.
Yeah. And they also want to like share their culture.
Yeah. And they're very supportive. Yeah. They're very proud of that. We've done some. So it's like, and the idea was actually, that was the idea. And, if I want to take my wife somewhere, there was not a lot of restaurants that you could go to. Good work has been done by some Somali chefs, but some of them left, like Ahmed. I think he moved to Mogadishu. But I actually wanted to bring different sort of food to the table in a good atmosphere, in a good setting.
Yeah.
Wedding food, party food, Aflis food. Like the food communal food that you eat together with relatives, and you invite friends. So if there's a wedding, you eat on the floor. The majlis, whatever, for the Yadulka. So we did that. We thought, if we can do that and so we call it platters now, but that was the big plates and sharing, and also bringing small dishes like snacks. Back in Mogadishu, they used to be called bibito. So you get sambus and bor and bajia and shah and some sandwiches and things like that from little snack shops, and the restaurants you eat for big meals. So we wanted to bring that together. Most Somali restaurants generally they don't give you everything. Even back home, there's no sambusa if you order from a restaurant. Now it's changing. The food scene is changing. I go often back home. So in the old days, it was not like that. And in London also, it was not heavily promoted. So because our portions are quite big, so people will go for the main. So we wanted to bring sambusa, bajia, and other items that we've added. So that's we said we can do it that way, and we wrote the menu back in, I think, even 2019. But lockdown happened. The business started to do well because of the lockdown, because we were open throughout lockdown in the burger business. So yeah, so the idea came from seeing those businesses doing well and people appreciating Somali food, and how can you actually storytell Somali food in a genuine way where now everyone comes, either young artists, successful Somali entrepreneurs who are young, elderly, everybody comes. Sabiib is actually exactly what I wanted. Youthful, led by youth, bringing all their family members, their friends, because that's the space that they needed. And I think we sort of still more to do, but I think we got that market. I think we understand that market.
It looks actually beautiful, because we have been here like a couple of months ago for the first time, and we had literally the wow factor. It's everything sounded good. You come inside, it's beautifully made, so the building's amazing, the food's great, the hovels are nice and kind. So everything, like the whole food's not just about the food itself that you taste, but it becomes better because of the environment and the people around you. So that's amazing. And like we were talking about, Somali people want to achieve two things. One is go to the Hajj. Yes, dunya, they want two things: go to the Hajj, or start a Somali restaurant. Yeah, exactly. That's the only two goals they have in life, right? So obviously you did the Somali restaurant one, and let's say some people are listening who have a restaurant or want to start their own restaurant. First of all, you have a co-founder, which is like two co-founders, which is like bigger than a marriage sometimes, because it's like you are seeing most of the time them more than your own wife.
Yeah.
So one, how do you met them? And two, how do you choose a great co-founder that complements you?
Yeah, luckily for me, I think I'm lucky. One of my so I mentioned Saha, my friend and business partner, and then I haven't mentioned Mohammed Sharala. He's one of my childhood friends that we met in Madrasa in Mogadishu, and after the war we met in Kenya again, and then I left. I came here first before him, and then he joined me, I think, late 99. Someone told him that I'm here. Unfortunately, we lost contact, but since then we've been inseparable. So we've had a lot of business ideas together. He didn't even get involved in the phone business, but he was involved in before I wanted to do the phone business in that chicken concept that we were gonna do. So partnerships are like marriages. At times I remember saying like, I actually want to do my own thing myself, but then I realized actually you need people, and it's good to share your success and your downs on with people that you like. So Saha was Turkish, from London. We met at work when I was managing one of the shops in Wood Green. And the story how we met was, I was like, where can I pray? Because there was no back room for that shop, and he took me to the mosque where his dad and I used to pray, Allah yarhamu, and then that's it. And that's it. For me, my dad used to say to me, always make good friends. So that's how I met those guys. Madrasa, and him taking me to a masjid that I wanted to pray, you know. So, and then that love for family and those sort of things are important to me. If I see you looking after your family, I'll connect with you, bro.
Yeah, mashallah, it feels like God's plan, right?
Yeah.
If someone meeting someone like in Mogadishu and then in Kenya again and then here again, like it's...
Yeah. And we still, you know, same age, and, you know, alhamdulillah. So, yeah, so I'm blessed that way. Some partnerships don't work out. You know, you can lose good friends, best friends that you've had for a long time. Through partnerships happened to me. Not falling out, but you just grow separately. The key to partnerships, to be honest, you have to have the same sort of goals. And also giving yourself, you know, people need to learn to give space to each other for people to grow. You know, partnerships are a good thing, you know, to grow. I mean, most businesses have partnerships. You'll hardly find a business that because it's very difficult to do something by yourself. Because you don't, you know, and some people do it. It's less headache if you can, you know, but you just become one way.
And it's also more fun to do it, right? We live...
Yeah, it's good. I'm a sharer, so it's good to share your, you know, it's good to have someone on your side, I think. So because business is like a team, isn't it? You know, if you're a one-man band, you're a tennis player, you know. So it's you know, most or golf player, whatever, but team sport is fun, isn't it? That's why it gets the big crowds and people enjoy. And I think business is good if you get people that you understand and you do halal business together and you have the same vision, you know, care. You know, if I ever become a business partner with you and you treat people bad, I would actually not like it. So that sort of, you have to have the same morals. Yeah, you have to have something together. So I'm someone who doesn't get into a lot of partnerships, although I had a lot of opportunities because, you know, here I meet people now often saying, can we do something together? I don't do people that so at the moment you can see the two people I have, one I've known for nearly 40 years because we met at madrasa when we were 6, and the other one I've known since 2005 or 6 when we were in our late 20s in London, and we met at work. And he's not even Somali, see? And he's co-owner of Sabiib and everything that we do.
MashaAllah. Looking at, like, as a business owner and entrepreneur, a lot of entrepreneurs face like very difficult things, stumbling blocks, etc. What was your biggest setback and how did you overcome that setback?
Alhamdulillah, to be honest, we haven't had a lot of setbacks. Businesses, the thing is, the main things with, like, for example, if you start a Somali restaurant now, you're young, you want to start Somali restaurant, just say any restaurant, say Somali restaurant. It needs a lot of, you need to know what you're doing, or get some sort of mentor, a consultant to help you with a lot of different works. But to hire people and to find staff, and those are the challenges for people. So for me, to be honest, I think I had an easy ride, although maybe I didn't get to maybe a higher level of business because I'm more family first. I like to spend time, although I'm working more now, but I like to spend time with family and go and see my dad and, you know, like that sort of thing. So sometimes for me, I'm going to do a lot of things not for me, although I want to grow Sabiib and, you know, make a good brand out of it. So the key, I would say, what was the question? Sorry, I've lost myself.
Like entrepreneurs in general, a lot of entrepreneurs, business owners face like
failure. Yeah. So yeah, I haven't had that failure because first business was like almost business that was like was gonna be successful. Alhamdulillah, if I didn't do anything wrong, you know, you get the if you worked hard, you got the right location. You're not paying silly money for the rent. If you do the basics right, it was a business that I knew. So I was working in a phone shop. I was a manager. I knew the whole team of that company, the warehouse. They treated me the same way, so it was easy to sell, get the products, sell. Trying to gain customers, we used to stand outside leafleting. We had no customers. I remember Masah used to come and help me. He had a job in the city, and he was still coming to help on Sundays, on his day off, to help at the beginning of the business, in the farm business, although he was not part of the business.
Yeah.
So I did not have that failure because of that situation, and then that business closed because of then the company lost their. I don't know, something happened. Yeah, change in markets. You can't call that a failure, but it was a business that was doing well that had no money. So, I wouldn't call that a failure. Challenges maybe. The challenges really is just recruitment.
So what are,
I've never had something that I started that didn't work, alhamdulillah. So for me, but I don't do too many of, like some people throw a lot of darts and go like someone would work. Can be a little bit slow in terms of doing things. So like Sabiib idea started 2018-19 fully. Even I think there might be some paperwork of me writing the menu back in 2019, and we opened 2023. Although we got the unit at 2022, so there's about 4 years. Although we had other things, so it's good. It's good to do things. Obviously, don't take too long, but I had other things to do.
Yeah.
And with the farm business, we had the burger business while we had the farm business. So we did that as a backup because we could see the farm business was going. We wanted to do food, so we was like, let's do something, So and then we still had the food, and then we had to work on this. Yeah. So don't do too many things in one go. It's good to focus on something, give it a little bit of time, but within that time, give it a good planning.
And another question on top of that, talking about the difficulties. If I say Sabiib to my friends in the Netherlands, everyone knows you. Everyone knows Sabiib because it's on mashallah online. It's very prominent. Everyone's fun. If I'm in London, I need to visit Sabiib. Sabiib is in this short time you guys are open, mashallah, have achieved a lot. You as one of the co-founders, what are you most proud of?
I'm most proud of, to be honest, people really having a good time after eating, or like different demographics of people, age demographic, coming together, or non-Somalis coming with their friends, and when you see that head shake, when I see that head shake is the moment, and the connection with customers, with our guests when they leave in, for us, because we come from service, it's so important. Service is really, like we look after people, we see our guests as marti sorne, so you bring the best out of, that wedding food I was talking about. You do your best to get that house in order. Our mums and sisters would do all that sort of work to get the house ready, and then we all used to go and help and deliver the food, and so that care and attention of, like, when you have marti to your house, it's like it comes up. So what we try to do here at Sabiib is get the customers, do the Somaliness of like having guests. Somalis really, we have bad. There are things that we're bad at, but we're really hospitable people. We're good with, we look after people. So if you just add that with a little bit of professionalism, it's magic. And I think that's what's coming through at Sabiib, and that makes me happy, that connection with people saying really good things of like, it's not about, I've been looked after well. And you go to a restaurant to have an experience, to feel better about yourself, to meet friends, to eat good food. It's got that happiness, isn't it? And if you get looked after in terms of, I'll give you food on time, we've got all the things that you like, and then that's it, So that connection with the customer of like happy customers, eating, chatting is what makes me happy. And drinking tea, how Somali shah. Yeah. When I see them with shah and having a good conversation, shah and shake.
The shah so good.
Is the recipe is good. It's been fine-tuned now. I think it's one of our best items. Yeah, the tea is really, the shah is, again, it's that sharing, isn't it? That culture of when you come to someone's house, like, hey, shah.
Yeah, it has been always in the central.
Now it's part of Somali culture of tea drinking. There's even, you can see some photos from early 1900 of people drinking tea in the open, men especially, And we've got even a photo downstairs where There's a lady pouring tea from early 1920s. So yeah, Shah is us, and I like tea. So we, we used to make the tea at home, and with support from chefs, we added a little bit of. It's more massively produced. So, and in restaurants you have more of the ingredients. If you're at home, you cannot have everything all the time. So you might have cinnamon, cardamom might run out. You might not have cloves. Those are the spices that we use. And we use a little bit of evaporated milk, not a lot, but our tea is more watery than milky. So it's majority water and 30% milk. So it's got that light flavor that people like. But again, nobody was doing. Again, people think we're just doing the tea because we're doing it. It actually was planned from day one. Why are we not selling Somali Shah the way back home? We don't do the rinji one, the black tea, because space-wise, ideally I would like rinji, rinji, black tea, with the spices ready, and then the milky tea ready, adaiska, but space-wise we didn't get this opportunity, but maybe next one. So the tea is really, it's that, there's Shah and Shako, yeah? Yeah? So Shah and Shako, we don't want too much Shako here because we're too busy. But again, it gives that little good ending to the dinner,
100%.
So let's say we want to start a Somali restaurant in Amsterdam.
That's great.
Or in, I don't know, Norway, Dubai, whatever, right? And we would have to start with like the building stones of every restaurant. Like, how would you start a Somali restaurant in Amsterdam?
First of all, you just have to do a business plan. I think, at the moment, there's, our backbone, our customer base, our bread and butter, as they say in the UK, is Somali customers. So obviously, if you have that demographic to start with, it will give you a success quickly if you can meet their needs. Like if you can meet what they want, you can open a nice restaurant, but if you're not clicking, it's not going to happen. Yeah. So do your business plan and do your due diligence properly, and then look at your demographic that you want to target.
Have you also chose the location based on the demographic?
London, obviously, we're blessed. There's a lot of Somalis in London, and I think you have to think about the Muslim community as well. I think Somali food is becoming that option. Like now, you guys from Holland, you eat Turkish food, I'm assuming, or Moroccan food as halal option.
Sure.
There's nothing else, yeah? Not much. You might have some Surinamese halal, maybe the odd one I think I didn't get the opportunity to see when I was in. And most of them are not halal, yeah, but there was one that someone I think was telling me when I was there that I didn't get a chance. So that market is there from the Muslim community. So it's not just Somali. So that demographic, I was telling you, the base, and a lot of Somalis now are friends with Moroccans, other Muslims. You'll always see a Somali with someone that's from the Muslim community. So that opportunity is there. So, but I think, it's just if you do good food and you're honest about the food and what you're trying to do, you'll find a market. And you do your plans, as I started with that, yeah. So you have to do a business plan and say, you have to know. Right, exactly. Who's your target? Who's your customers? Are they here?
Yeah. So it's like a lot of people skip that because it's the three things you have to get right. Is like, one, know your audience. So where are they? What is their point A, and what kind of problems do they have there? Where do they want to go? This is the destination, and you are now the bridge between them not being able to share their Somali food and with their friends and their Somali culture with their friends, to now that they have a place where they can share that. And Sabiib is the bridge to that.
Yeah. But the opportunity is there.
Most people.
Yeah, exactly. The thing is now, sometimes I say to young people, if some people ask me business advice, I'd like to sit down, man. I'll talk to you. I'm open to helping people and giving them ideas. I'm a sharer, so if you want to open a restaurant or you want some advice, if I can give you 5 minutes of my time, I'm more than happy to. Anybody who wants to, who wants to genuinely do it and do good as well and share again. I remember there was when I first started to do the research in the food business, there's a owner of a chicken shop that said to me, "Sit down, brother. If you need time, I'll give you time." We're still friends. He's an Afghani guy. I went to another guy, I think it was Pakistani, and he didn't give me 2 minutes. When I see him, I know his face still to this day. Yeah. And the other guy gave me contacts, what to do, told me figures. He helped me with the business because he had so the franchise company might give you a bit different story. So it's good to, it's good to share and if someone, but and learn from as well. Get something to inspire you. Get a brand that basically that you like, that's doing good, that's got your values, or and then imitate. Yeah, just say, look, you have to look into something, and any successful brand or person looked into something,
Yeah, if you want to become a better football player.
I just had the Ronaldo idea in my head, yeah. So Ronaldo looked into maybe R9 or whatever, just said I can do that or whatever. You have to have something, and then you can be better even at that than that person, because
you can combine.
You can combine more. Yeah, exactly. So, good planning, good, and rather don't just open, and always use professionals.
Yeah,
it's costly, but use designers and like an idea. You want to open a restaurant, you might not have the money, even if you can get a cousin who's an architect or a friend to do something for you.
Yeah. Yeah, actually focus on, because I think that's also one that makes you different than other Somali, because we also have a Somali restaurants in Amsterdam as well. And the food is amazing, but the atmosphere you're talking about, right? We don't give enough thought into how it looks and how it should feel.
Very, very important. Because you cannot do everything. I mean, we design restaurants before ourselves. It still looks good, but when you have a designer whose main job is to do, the draw, and obviously we gave them a lot of ideas. We like design, so but it costs a lot to do a big design like this. But a cheap design can cost £1,000.
Exactly. Yeah.
And if it gives you a nice logo, a nice shop front, a system in your restaurant where everything is measured, it's gonna make you a lot of money and make you more. It will make you stand out. What happens with Somali businesses? There's different generations. The older generation that came, the older than me, I'm old, but the older generation, maybe your parents or whatever, that had the opportunity to. In the UK, they opened like internet coffee shops and like late 90s. They just opened to get employment. They had to open something to make money because they didn't speak English. Some of them became cab drivers. It was not easy for them, but they did really good small businesses. So there's a missing gap. And anybody who's doing business now will just get Umar, who does the woodwork, and just ask him to do something, do me a counter, do me this. And it just becomes, because that's the cheapest option. It might not be the cheapest for him, but it's the cheapest that he sees, because there's no business plan on how much this is going to cost. So the key is really professionalize whatever you're trying to do, even small.
And also look into the hidden costs of things, because you think like this version that's cheaper will cost me less, but if because of those designs you have 10% less clients every time they come, then in 1 year, in 2 years, in 10 years, the little design that you could pay €1,000 for somewhere else will cost you 10,000s of money.
Exactly. And also, I think I would like actually to see more young Somalis owning business in the West, because I know a lot of us is either we go back home, we don't, brick and mortar business. There's a lot of technology businesses that are on behind the scenes that you don't see. But, if you own a restaurant or a business that's on the high street, you're seeing, the community is seeing us. It makes people proud that we're here now on this high street. We are one of the best restaurants in London in terms of reviews, and, we appeared on the books. London, the best food place to eat. we get a lot of recognition that way. So it's good, it makes the community proud.
And also you raise the standard for the Somali people because Sabiib is here, and now a new barrier is broken where people will like maybe copy you, and the quality will.
That was exactly part of the idea, to inspire and get people to do other business as well. Food, there's enough space because the more people learn about Somali food, the more customers to share as well, isn't it? If more people, like now, if we have like more Sabiibs open and then they share and they get, it's nearly 70 million people in the UK, it's if we become that other option of Turkish, Indian, for the halal restaurants, if we become that, it's good. It's good for the community. It will create more jobs, more entrepreneurs. It's really important. We even have other brands that we want to do where we want to franchise, that we're going to do quick Somali food, QSR, yeah. So that's something that we plan, but we want to focus on more Sabiib now, which I can tell you later maybe. But yeah, so the idea is just to actually have more Somali sort of presence on the high street, which gives the community food. Yeah, we need that.
I hope that will work out.
Yeah.
We would like to go into the last phase, and so there's like the entrepreneurial Liban, the entrepreneur Liban, and there is the family man. And for a lot of people that start their own business, it's very hard to balance the two worlds.
Yeah.
Right? Are there any systems, habits that you can describe how you like make sure that you can be father and husband first instead of like 60, 70, 80 hours?
Yeah, again, it's luck and the people that you're around with and how people balance your energy. So alhamdulillah, I have a very supportive wife. I've got 5 kids. So alhamdulillah. So basically, I put family. Yeah, I think it's to do with my family. So my dad was always good dad. So
it comes very.
Yeah, it's quite natural. So for me, it's easy to. I'll just go and drop the kids in school in the morning, come and do something, and I'll go and drop them now, spend a little bit of time. I spend a little bit less time with Sabiib because Sabiib's taken a lot. It needs a lot of attention, and I think we're training people now, so alhamdulillah, it's happening. So before I opened Sabiib, I was at home most of the time because the business was doing well, and we had enough team, and there was not a lot of. We used to do work behind the scenes a lot, and go to the businesses maybe 2 shifts a week.
Sure.
Before we did this, so yeah, so
you have built like the company.
Yeah. I love to delegate. So we like now. I'm literally here every day. At some time of my, I use it as an office. I come in the morning. I live locally, so it's easy for me to come. But yeah, family is just The idea is actually now to really work hard, build enough team to build this with us, do more Sabiib, and then just spend more time with the family. I've got children with different, I've got 6-year-old as the youngest child, so we got married young. So alhamdulillah, wife works as well. So it's the balance. You have to really put family first. I don't go out a lot, so for me it's like, and restaurant's fun. So if you're in your restaurant, it's doing well and it's good vibes, you actually want to be around. I'm guilty of that. It's just fun. You'll see me often. So yeah, alhamdulillah, we balance. And
when we were speaking yesterday, you mentioned that you are more back home, and
I go and see my dad. Who's old now.
Are there any plans for Sabiib in Mogadishu or Hargeisa?
Well, we need to do that before other people do. No, I think it's good to actually build a foundation here, and then look for other opportunities outside. The most people talk about Sabiib, the people that follow us that say come to Sabiib, come to our city is Minnesota. So maybe after we open 3 Sabiibs in London, Minnesota, Nairobi, Mogadishu is the plans.
I like that because you know that you can do everything. Like you can be in every city, but you can't do everything at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. We're a small team that we are training. We're doing a lot of things, so it's not easy. Maybe Istanbul. as well.
Inshallah.
There was some success in the start with some Somali restaurants, but yeah. So yeah, we it depends really the way the journey takes us. Inshallah, we'll do our best, one at a time. So we open a second Sabiib hopefully
Just prepare.
second quarter of next year. Inshallah, if that works. We're on 2 in less than 2 years.
Inshallah.
And then a third. The idea was to do three Sabiibs within 3 years. So if we train more people and save enough money, maybe we can open a third one in 3 years. So inshallah, we're on track. And if we do that, then that gives us more manpower. We have to get people who know better than us, who can manage the business operationally. You know, me and Sahad do a lot of the work now to marketing, negotiating, paying, you know, dealing with accounts. We do everything. So yeah, it would need bigger team, which we are training, and then we'll hire people that know the industry, the food and beverage industry more, because you got a limit.
Yeah. And
Learn as well that limit. That you cannot do everything. That you have to learn how to do.
this ties back to what you said, delegating.
Yeah.
You're a person that likes to delegate.
Yeah. I trust people that I trust, and then if they're doing a good job, you let them. They'll take a load of you. So don't try to do everything yourself. Learn, give people experience to try something.
Mashallah. There's a lot of gems you shared through this podcast. Mashallah. A lot of the key things that the listeners hopefully can gain from. Liban, thank you for your time.
No, thank you.
It was a very
done a good job.
And I love doing these interviews. This kind of see entrepreneurs like you inspire the next generation, and see Somalis grow is something that we get a lot of energy from. So again, thank you for hosting us in your store, in your restaurant, mashallah. And inshallah, we will speak to you.
Inshallah. Thanks for coming, man.
My brother, thank you.
Thank you, and I wish your channel a success, because when you guys approached, I thought it was a good idea to give back and get more youth, to be successful and in the community. So it's very important. Good work that you're doing.
I think you have inspired a lot of youth with this interview. Maybe starting the next restaurants who are of that level will be because of this podcast.
Also,
inshallah.
Yeah, well, inshallah, hopefully it will inspire people.
Inshallah.
That's the idea.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.